Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So they're going to be looking at the polling data from Wednesday, October 24th, and what it means for the 2018 midterm elections. So we have a little bit of data here, 3 Senate race polls, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 governor's race polls, 3 House district polls, and then a couple Trump approval rating polls, a couple generic congressional vote polls, 1 congressional job approval poll, and the direction of the country. So we start off with our Florida Senate poll. It shows Bill Nelson leading by plus 4%. This is a poll taken by Gravis. So for some reason, when we're looking at the data from the Florida Senate race, we're seeing a very, very big increase for the Democratic candidate. Keep in mind, the largest lead that Nelson ever had, or any candidate in this race ever had, was plus 3.8%. The last time that it was there was in March of 2018. The highest it's been since then is plus 2.8% up until today, where now Bill Nelson leads by 3.5%. That's a very good increase. If we're looking at where Rick Scott led before, he consistently led all the way from being ending of June, leading all the way up into September 24th was the last time that he led, and then Nelson took the lead by 1.1%, and then all of a sudden it went down to Nelson plus 0, meaning it was a tie, and then Nelson has shot back up again. So if we're looking at the area over here, for some reason Bill Nelson has gone back in terms of popularity. He now leads in the most recent poll by plus 4%. Scott leads in the St. Pete polls and then the Florida Atlantic University poll, which I'm throwing out because of the amount of undecided voters. But looking at the general amount of polls that show Bill Nelson leading, that definitely does say something about the race itself. So Florida Senate race now going in favor of Bill Nelson. That definitely says something for the 2018 midterm elections, because this is an area if the GOP takes it, the Democrats need to completely redo their entire game for the 2018 Senate elections if they want to have any chance of taking the majority or even holding on to the number of seats they have now. Michigan Senate. Right now, Debbie Stabenow leads by plus 16%. Okay, that is pretty considerable. Plus 16, though, not too unexpected. We're looking at the rest of the data. She has always led by double digits in every single poll except for one. Okay, so that one's probably an outlier considering the rest of them show her winning by an average of actually 16.2%. So I'm not going to say that poll definitely is pretty accurate. So that race doesn't need a lot of attention. We already know it's going to the Democrats. Just the fact that Michigan went to Trump in 2016 says a little bit. New Jersey Senate race now within 5 points, but Menendez is above 50%, so it really does not matter. Overall average is 7.7% for Bob Menendez. I mean, looking at this race, yes, it is narrower than before. Does it mean anything for New Jersey? Probably not. A win is a win for the Democrats or the Republicans. You can win by 0.2%. Means just as much if you won by 30%. Nobody's really looking at that until 6 years from then when you're going for re-election. So right now, if Bob Menendez wins here, this will probably be his last term if these things keep following him and his numbers keep tanking. But this election probably still going to go in favor of the Democratic Party. Now we've covered all the Senate races, okay, all of which show favor for the Democratic Party. But surprisingly, New Jersey is only 1% more for the Democrat than Florida. And a state that Trump won in 2016, larger than both of the other states, now showed the Democratic candidate leading by more than the, second place Democrat by 11%. So some very, very weird map that we're looking at 2018, a number of weird races, a number of popular incumbents, unpopular incumbents, whatever it may be, combination of both. We're seeing a very different map than what we saw in 2016 in the presidential election. But we have some interesting governor polls, very interesting ones. The only one that is actually above a double-digit lead, and now actually is a double-digit lead, is the California race, which isn't too unexpected. But the fact that Oklahoma and South Dakota and Florida are on here definitely say something. So, Florida governor poll. Right now, Andrew Gillum leads by plus 5% against Ron DeSantis. If we're looking at the overall average, Gillum leads by plus 5.8%. In fact, he's skyrocketed up enough so that he is leading larger than he's ever led in this in the governor election. The race has actually moved towards the lean Democratic column on Real Clear Politics. So that definitely says something in terms of the race itself. For the South Dakota Senate race, we're seeing some very interesting numbers. This is the first poll taken. In fact, it has moved to the Tossup column because of this poll. We're looking right here. The Democrats have 20, and this poll has shifted in favor of the Democrats because it moves from, I believe, likely GOP to Tossup or safe GOP to Tossup. That was actually, let's see. We can actually see down here if we just scroll down just a little bit. Actually went from lean GOP to Tossup. It was at 23 Republicans, now at 22, so this number should go up down to 8, go up to 8 for toss-ups and then down to 22 for the GOP. I think the lowest they were at was at 21. But overall, looking at the race itself, very interesting. The fact that South Dakota, of all things, is contested. And just a little bit backstory in terms of the Republican candidate there. Kristi Noem, she is the incumbent representative from South Dakota, so it's not like she isn't known statewide. It's not like she hasn't won statewide elections before. Not like she doesn't represent the state. So for some reason, Billy Sutton is actually doing very well in this race. It could be unpopularity, could be popularity, could be being known statewide. For some reason, this Democratic candidate is putting up a fight and possibly winning. So right now, Florida governor race, good for the Democrats. South Dakota governor race, good for the Democrats. The fact that the Democrat leads in Florida and the fact that the GOP does not lead at all in South Dakota definitely says something. Going over to Oklahoma, though, we're seeing a little bit more silver lining for the GOP. Kevin Stitt now leading by plus 2% over Drew Edmondson. Edmondson before led, I believe, by 7% in one poll, actually. But that was the first poll taken. And then Edmondson plus 1, then Stitt plus 3, plus 6, plus 7. So the lead has gone up in favor of Kevin Stitt. This is a Republican leading poll. Right now it's a lean GOP race. That's how I would characterize it myself. So we've covered the governor polls except for California, which we will get to in just a moment. But right now, again, I want you to focus a lot of your attention on that South Dakota governor race because it's going to be one to watch. California governor race, though, John Cox versus Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom leads by plus 13%. In fact, if we look at the race, it's been pretty consistent in terms of his lead. It's always been a double-digit lead in every single one of these polls except for two. One from NBC4 and then one from, let's actually see, NBC4 again. So general conclusion is Gavin Newsom is going to win. Overall averages plus 18.2%. I don't really see why you can expect anything different. But what's funny is if we're looking at the key 2018 races, CA4, CA7, CA10, 21, 22, 24, 25, 39, 45, 48, 49, 50. Look at 2016. It was just 3, 7, 10, 16, 21, 24, 25, 49, 52. So 52, let's see, was won by a Democratic candidate. Now it's not contested because it is a Democrat. Looking at 2014, the same race is pretty much contested, but then looking at 2018, more contested races than before. I believe California, there would be a Democratic district, which is why it is not contested this election season because it's in favor of the Democratic Party. Looking back at 2010, the only real contested race was California 4th, which is very interesting because it's contested now. Let's see why the Democratic candidate, I'm assuming, won based off that. And looking at the district now, let's actually see. No, so I'm assuming maybe the GOP candidate won. Back in 2010, we can check. I don't know why I keep misclicking. I'm getting a little bit off track here, but let's just go ahead and see. So I'm assuming that the GOP candidate actually won here or went on to 2012 and won. So let's go back to the 2018 latest polls. Right now, so we're looking at this California governor race going in favor of the Democratic Party by a pretty good amount. Minnesota's first district, this is a contested race. In fact, if we look at the characterization, it is currently rated as a toss-up. Trump won here by 14.9%, even though Obama won here by 1.4%. So definitely more contested, definitely something to look at. This race is going to be one to watch. The fact the Democrat is leading by plus 2% in a Trump plus 15% district says something about Trump or says something about the district itself. Going over to the next House race, we have New Mexico's 2nd district. This is the district that's that big district in New Mexico. If you look at the House map, I can bring it up real quick. Looking at it, whoa, that's a number of Republican seats I'm seeing right now. Right here, that district itself is the 2nd district. Apparently, it's pretty contested. Harrow right now, not the incumbent. There is no incumbent here retiring. Trump won here by 10.2%, but if we're looking at the numbers, Harrow plus 7, Small plus 1, then Harrow plus 1 again. So we're going to have to actually see on Election Day who actually wins this race because a lot of this data is within the margin of error. Speaking of another poll within the margin of error is New York's 22nd district. The Democrat leads by plus 1%. Trump won here by 15.4%, even though Romney won here by 0.4%. Unfortunately for the incumbent, she's not doing too good. Anthony Brindisi is leading by 2% in the Siena poll earlier on in the election, and now he's leading by plus 1%. But the fact that this race is actually contested, even though they have a GOP incumbent, and Trump won here by over 15%, says something about the district itself and about the voters in this individual district and how they perceive the president. So we've covered all the election polls of Democrat versus Republican, except for the generic congressional vote, but these are individual races. Now we can move over into the President Trump job approval rating. Approve 45, approve 46, both of which are probably going to boost his numbers to around approve 44.1. Trump, for some reason, his approval rating is going up, but the Republicans aren't going up. And that's surprising to me. The fact they aren't going up in the House, they aren't going up in the Senate. The GOP isn't necessarily going up in the Senate, but it's not in direct relation to the president. It's more of a candidate basis, like Heidi Heitkamp or Jackie Rosen. But right now, if we're looking at the polls, disapprove +7 to disapprove +6 is still disapprove. Regardless, just the approve number has gone up. In the 2018 generic congressional vote, though, the Democrats lead +3% in the Rasmussen Reports poll, which is expected. But if you do think that Trump has a 46% approval rating, Democrats are also leading +3%. So you can't take one poll and disregard the same question in the same poll. So you have to take them both together. And then in 2018 generic congressional vote from economist YouGov, Democrats +6, which is a more believable number considering Rasmussen Reports typically overestimates Republicans and underestimates Democrats. Congressional job approval rating, obviously always low. Disapprove +53. Direction of the country is wrong track +12. For some reason, Rasmussen Reports did not take a poll here, but that's pretty surprising to me. But overall, direction of the country, wrong track +12. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.